My name is Peter Girguis, and I'm a professor of Organismic and Evolutionary Biology at Harvard University. Welcome to my exp. When we think about life on Earth, we often immediately think of the organisms we're familiar with, including us, right? What does it mean to be alive on Earth? Well, it's human, or cats, or dogs, or birds, things that we have experiences with every day. But really, the diversity of life on Earth is in so many ways mind-blowing. There are animals that live such different lifestyles than we do. Some of the fish that live in the deep ocean, for example, never see the light of day. In fact, they never touch a surface. They're floating in the midwater their entire lives. They have organs that allow them to make their own light. But even more extreme are microbes. Microbes are capable of doing things that we cannot possibly ever pull off as an animal. When we think about life on Earth, again, we often think about the animals. But the fact of the matter is, if you eliminated every animal from Earth, the planet would still be habitable. Some cynical people might say, you could eliminate all of humankind and things would get better. But let's leave that be. The animals are consumers. We are here benefiting from the trees and the algae and the microbes that are running the planet. But here's the fine point of it. If you eliminated every microbe from our planet, no life could exist. When we look around our planet and we think about what makes it habitable, it's really the microbes that are responsible for that. Take the oxygen in the air. About half that oxygen was made by microorganisms. Take the nitrogen. Many of us are familiar with high protein diets. All of that requires nitrogen. The nitrogen that keeps our planet running comes exclusively from microbes and plants that associate with those microbes. If we think about our food web and life on Earth, it's really a web of microbes that are taking energy from the sun and from the earth and creating a space in which plants can grow and algae can grow. Those plants and algae in turn produce oxygen that eventually led animals to be able to exist because we need that oxygen to be the size that we are and as active as we are. So at the very heart of it, life on Earth is about the microbes. In recent years, many scientists have been thinking about how we define life, especially as we think about looking for life on, say, some of the moons around Jupiter and Saturn that have oceans bigger than our own. So how do we define life? Well, many people think of it in terms of an organization or an entity that is not in equilibrium with its environment, which is a sort of scientist's way of saying it's a system that is acquiring energy from the outside of the system to maintain itself so that it's different from its surroundings. In that context, microbes are really extraordinary examples of what it means to be alive, because they have evolved the ability to tap into different sources of energy that no animal on Earth can. So again, you have microbes utilizing toxic chemicals from volcanoes and other microbes living off of, for example, rust. And they are the definition of life because they have found a way to harness energy from the environment and maintain themselves at that chemical disequilibrium. Harness the energy to keep themselves distinct, surrounded by a cell membrane, able to reproduce and so on. So I turn to the microbes for the definition of life. I think it's important to remind ourselves that our planet is really a microbial world. And the origins of life are about the origins of microbes. When we think about microbes on Earth today, those of us who study them recognize their tremendous diversity, and not just their own metabolic diversity, but the diversity of habitats in which they live. And here's where it gets fun. If we take the time to think about what life may have been like on an early Earth, we can make some guesses as to what the planet was like. It was probably warm. There was no oxygen, probably a lot of carbon dioxide, maybe some methane around, and so on and so forth. And we can look at those conditions and then ask ourselves, where on Earth does that exist today and who's living there? So we can use that to try and gain insights into the origins of life. We have to be careful though, because the life we see today is a product of evolution. And evolution is not a silver bullet solution to one problem. Evolution is the sum of solutions to many problems. So organisms today may have to deal with oxygen, which is something organisms of the past never did. But it's really the archaea, which are a kind of microorganism that constitute their own entire domain, and the bacteria, also microorganisms that constitute their own domain, that provide us insights into what life may have been like at the very beginning.